I take pride in being a responsible father, having purchased a house for my daughter. However, my husband, without consulting me, decided to use my money to buy a luxury apartment and expressed his intention to divorce me if I opposed him, deeming me useless without financial contributions. Reacting to his audacious plan, I swiftly retaliated. Retrieving the divorce papers, I confronted him with my decision. His astonishment was evident, probably not expecting me to have such documents. But this marked the beginning of my true retaliation. My name is Jocelyn Anderson, a 50-year-old office worker who has cherished the French language since my student days. I had been married once at 23, but my husband passed away 6 months into our marriage due to a tragic traffic accident caused by a drunk driver. Despite receiving a $500,000 insurance payout, no amount of money could bring him back. During my grieving period, a colleague named Ernest Anderson provided solace, eventually becoming my second husband at 25. Despite my past, I vividly remembered my first husband and decided to save the insurance money for emergencies. A year after remarrying Ernest, we welcomed our daughter Christina, who is now living independently and working as an illustrator. While I anticipated relaxation with my husband after the challenges of child rearing, our relationship began to deteriorate during Christina's senior year of high school. Disagreements arose over her education, as Ernest unilaterally decided on an ideal path for her to attend a prestigious university and secure a future in a large corporation. Though I didn't oppose his early efforts to send Christina to tea in classes and tutoring, our conflict intensified when Christina expressed her desire to attend an art university and pursue a career as an illustrator. Despite her talent, Ernest vehemently opposed her choice, insisting that she attend Princeton University, work in a big company, and lead a conventional office life. Frustrated with his refusal to support our daughter's dreams, I spoke up, asserting that it was Christina's life, and she should be allowed to take a chance on her passion. However, my opposition only fueled his anger, as he believed a child's duty was to fulfill their parents' dreams. He claimed absurdly that if she lives as he says, she'll definitely be happy. Attending a famous university and working in a big corporation doesn't guarantee happiness. I never knew my husband had such biased views. I thought he would eventually understand and support Christina's decision, but I was naive. Despite Christina and me trying to persuade him, it was in vain. A deep rift formed between us. I ended up supporting all of Christina's tuition and living expenses, but Ernest remained dissatisfied, often grumbling complaints. Despite the situation, Christina managed to get into her first-choice art university and devoted herself to studying painting. As a result, she landed a job as an illustrator at a certain company and started living alone. Although she sometimes works on weekends and stays up all night for work, she's doing her best energetically. However, Ernest still refuses to acknowledge Christina's job, constantly complaining that all the money spent on tutoring went to waste. He embarrassingly considers her a failure. I thought he might change his mind, seeing Christina living independently, but there's no sign of that. Moreover, he's become harsher towards me for supporting Christina. He yells every day about bad cooking or poor cleaning, despite being unable to do housework himself and leaving everything to me. I've come to realize this is his true nature. Ernest probably can't be satisfied unless things go his way. He was kind when Christina obeyed him, but his attitude changed drastically when she said she wanted to be an illustrator. This must be due to his personality. Staying at home has become painful for me, and my workplace has become a place of solace. Fortunately, Ernest and I work in different departments at the same company, so we don't have to see each other. Then, one day, a certain opportunity came my way, and that's when I made a significant decision. On such a day, Ernest suddenly said, "I decided to buy Christina a brand new luxury apartment. She's an important daughter, after all. I want her to live in a nice place. I've already handled the procedures at the real estate agency." Despite his apparent disdain for Christina, this sudden change of heart was suspicious. I wondered if he even had the money to buy a luxury apartment. Seeing my reaction, Ernest smirked. Don't worry, you're the one who's going to pay for the apartment. I know about the $500,000 you have from your previous husband's insurance. You can use that to buy it. I'll live in the luxury apartment with Christina using your money. I've been treated badly by her, so I plan to make full use of her. You and Christina are ultimately my possessions, so just obey me. A fierce anger rose within me. Ernest decided to buy the apartment just to spite me and Christina. I couldn't understand his thought process at all. Foolishly, he blabbed about his scheme and revealed his plans. Furthermore, I couldn't allow him to use such crucial insurance money for this purpose. I had declared myself a good father for buying my daughter a house, but the ultimatum of divorce if I opposed his extravagant plan was beyond acceptable. The moment I heard this, I retaliated without mercy. I swiftly went to my room and retrieved the divorce papers. Fine, here are the divorce papers, I declared, thrusting them at my husband. His astonishment was palpable. He likely didn't expect me to have the papers ready. Yet, I didn't stop there. The real retaliation was about to begin. I smirked as I faced my husband, who was lost for words. I explained what had been brewing in my mind for a while. I can't trust someone who discriminates against his own daughter like that. Besides, I'm fed up with a life of constant criticism from you. I decided to divorce you a while ago and was just waiting for the right moment to bring it up. It's good that you mentioned divorce first. Ernest, possibly having used divorce as a mere threat, was completely bewildered, mumbling denials. Ignoring him, I pushed the divorce papers towards him, saying, "File it quickly if you want to be freed from me." Pushed into a corner, Ernest reacted angrily, claiming it was just a joke. My anger peaked. I don't understand your thinking. Buying a luxury apartment just to harass your family is incomprehensible. If you say we can't divorce, I can always consult a lawyer. Ernest reluctantly received the divorce papers, angrily protesting. What do you mean divorce? It was just a joke. I can't believe you're taking it seriously and even preparing divorce papers. My anger reached its peak, and without entertaining his excuses, I left the house immediately, submitting the divorce papers to the city court. I then reported everything to Christina over the phone, and she too was furious with Ernest's outrageous behavior. Dad is terrible. It's good that you divorced him, Mom. You can stay at my apartment for a while, Christina offered. That night, we discussed and planned further retaliation against Ernest. About a week later, on a holiday, Christina and I visited Ernest's house where I had lived until just a week ago, but now felt like a stranger's home. When we rang the doorbell, Ernest came out immediately, looking down on us with a condescending gaze. He assumed we had come to apologize. Suppressing my anger, I spoke apologetically, and Christina played along. Ernest seemed genuinely pleased, thinking we had come to our senses. However, his satisfaction waned when he noticed the bags we were carrying. Bags full to the brim and tied up so their contents weren't visible. Taking out a bundle of $10,000 from one of the bags, I presented it to him. I felt bad about what I did to you, so I decided to give you some of my previous husband's insurance money. Use this money to live in the luxury apartment with Christina. There's $500,000, so can you keep it in a safe? Ernest gazed dreamily at the bundle of $10,000 and agreed to keep it in a safe. He led us into the house without hesitation. Despite it being only a week since I left, the house was in disarray with laundry and garbage strewn about. Ernest was terrible at cleaning and housekeeping. I couldn't help but almost laugh, imagining how Ernest must be struggling to live alone. Christina and I stuffed the bag's contents into the safe, excluding the $10,000. Thankfully, Ernest went to the kitchen to make coffee and didn't see us. After returning to Christina's apartment, I took the bags and went out again. I'm heading to a new place on my own. Take care, Mom. Christina sent me off with a smile. I'll contact you once I'm settled. Take care of yourself, too. I smiled back and left Christina's apartment. 2 days later, while I was sleeping in my new home, Ernest called me. Hey, what about the $500,000? There's nothing but trash in the safe. I laughed heartily, thinking he took longer than expected to notice. Ernest had fallen for the trap. The bags mostly contained just paper. I had stuffed them with unnecessary newspapers to make it look like they held $500,000. I had only prepared $110,000 from the bank to make Ernest believe me. I had already deposited that money back into my account, so it was no longer with me. If Ernest had asked to see inside the bags, I planned to show him and tell him that such a good deal couldn't possibly be true. But fooled by just the $10,000, Ernest had been completely deceived. You did terrible things to Christina and me, so I thought it was only fair to retaliate like this. If you want to resent someone, resent your past self, not me, I said. Ernest, looking troubled, started saying something. Okay, I admit I was wrong. Can you come back and live with me? I can't pay for the luxury apartment, and I'm struggling with household chores. My house is like a garbage dump right now. I was appalled at his selfish reasoning. I'm not an ATM or your housekeeper. You're an adult, so handle it yourself. Besides, I'm in France right now. I can return to your place. That's right. I'm currently living in France. This isn't just a vacation. I received an offer for an overseas transfer from my company and decided to accept it. I've always loved French and aspired to work abroad. This overseas transfer was the opportunity that came to me before the divorce. Upon learning about the overseas transfer opportunity for my company, I made the decision to divorce Ernest and start a new life abroad. Living my dream life overseas and escaping from Ernest's influence was like killing two birds with one stone. While Christina was aware of my plans, Ernest remained clueless, as I hadn't shared anything with him. When he questioned my absence at the company, I casually dismissed it, emphasizing our now distant and practically estranged relationship. The next morning, with the time difference, I had to wake up around the witching hour. I initiated a video call through a messaging app with Ernest and Christina. Christina, with a calm demeanor, began expressing her feelings. When I was a child, I loved you, Dad. I respected you as a parent and loved you from the bottom of my heart. Ernest seemed elated at first, but Christina had more to reveal. But that's all in the past. You completely dismissed my career choice, and that's when I saw your true nature. You just wanted to control me. There was no love. Now I hate you and never want to see you again. This call is the last time we'll speak. I'm cutting ties. Ernest looked devastated, pleading with Christina not to say such things. However, her harsh words continued, stating her true feelings and cutting ties definitively. Christina added, I've moved, so don't bother going to my old apartment. Don't try to find out my new address using detectives or anything. I've said all I wanted to. I've also informed your workplace, relatives, and your parents about why we divorced. I doubt you'll get any support from them. Goodbye. Once Christina ended the video call, I did the same. Ernest begged for another chance, but it no longer mattered to me. Subsequently, Ernest faced significant consequences. Uncomfortable at work, he resigned. Disowned by his relatives and parents, he had to cancel the luxury apartment purchase. Moreover, he caused a scene at Christina's workplace, resulting in a ban. Ernest's selfish actions led to the loss of various aspects of his life, and he seemed to have lost his spirit, living as a recluse in a deteriorating house. I, on the other hand, found happiness working abroad. Despite facing cultural barriers, I overcame them through careful communication and enjoyed using my French skills. Meanwhile, Christina thrived as an illustrator, handling substantial projects. Both of us started shining in our respective lives, pursuing our passions and finding fulfillment despite the challenges.